Hello everyone, welcome to my overview of the course for EDSN 640 Assessment in Regular and Special Education. As you should know by now, my name is Dr. Tom Mawhinney and everyone calls me Dr. Tom. So welcome to session 1 or week 1. I want to go into the course objectives just to give you an overview of what we're going to do. One of the first objectives is that you should master 27 assessment terms, which are located in your vocabulary in your own words, which you will be reminded of to fill out every week, every session. You're going to create a selected response test on the EdTPA Elementary Education Assessment Handbook, using at least 4 learning targets and possibly 5, but no more than 5. You're going to be able to explain the response to intervention process, including the 3 tiers, progress monitoring, and curriculum-based measurements. We're going to get into the assessment piece of that with rate of improvement, gap analysis, specificity, integrity of interventions, etc., etc. You're going to indicate where you can locate research-based strategies. You're going to be introduced to 3 different areas where you can find research-based strategies. A lot of people talk about research response to intervention without talking about research-based strategies or research-based core instruction. We will be investigating that. This is a book by Robert Marzano and his colleagues about research-based strategies. To accurately describe the concepts of reliability, validity, and fairness, we're going to do that in one session. You're going to be able to differentiate between a norm referenced and a criterion reference test, a big idea of this course. You're going to distinguish between a selected response test, a performance assessment, and a portfolio or portfolio assessment. What are the advantages, disadvantages of each one of those 3 types of assessments? You're going to argue for or against using assessment for accountability purposes. We're going to have a discussion board on large-scale standardized tests where you'll get to talk about all the reasons you don't like them or the reasons you do like them. You're going to explain the 2 overriding principles of test prep and describe the 2 appropriate test prep strategies. I believe there are 3. But you will see which out of 5. Popham talks about 5 in his book, discusses 5 in his book. I think 3 of them are okay. He only believes 2 of them are. And you're going to articulate the difference between assessment of and for learning. This is where we're going to talk about formative assessment. And then we're also going to talk about 6 grading practices that distort achievement, things that you think are okay. Most of you believe these strategies are okay because that's all you know, but we're going to show and talk about and describe ways that they distort achievement and aren't really fair practices. So the only required text is Popham's Classroom Assessment, the 8th edition. I'm sure you're all going to write me and say, Dr. Tom, can I use the 7th edition? Can I use the 6th, the 5th? How about the 4th? I would recommend the 8th because a lot changes every few years in assessment. I mean, we went from PL, public law, No Child Left Behind, and then in 2016 we had Every Student Succeeds Act. So the NCLB is past tense, and now we have ESSA, and so you need to know what the requirements are and what the differences are. And Popham, that's why he updates this regularly, and that's why I like it. He also writes well. So the last thing I want to talk about is my grading criteria. And again, when I talk about using grading practices that don't distort achievement, one of the things I use in two sessions, 2 of my sessions, is a double entry journal, and I'll explain those. I'll have exemplars of good ones and mediocre ones, so you'll get to see what they look like. So I have two of them. First one doesn't count as much, and the second one counts more, and that's what I do. I weight assignments that you have later on in the course more. So overall, that will be a 20% of your grade. So I think the first one is 5% and the second one is 15%. So you will get feedback on that first one, which will allow you to get the ultimate percentage on your second one. Discussion boards carry the most weight. They are 25% of your grade. I believe those are the most important thing, where you apply what you're learning, you extend your learning by finding other sources to support your opinions, and you use the text. It isn't just a place where you get to spout off without using evidence to support your opinions. You have to support your opinions with evidence from our readings or my presentation or other quote-unquote relevant information. I have several quizzes. I'm not sure if there are 8, but I think there are 8 quizzes, and they will also be 20% of your grade. The selected response test that you create will be 20% of your grade. We're going to spend a lot of time on that. You're going to have at least 3 chances to revise your draft test before you submit it to me for a grade. So that's worth 20%. And then you're going to analyze your results. Your classmates are going to take that selected response test, and you're going to analyze those results. And that is 10% of your grade. And there are 2 baseline surveys. The first one is just an assessment of your prior knowledge, and the last one, which will count 4%, for a total of 5%. The first one is only 1% of your grade. The second one, final one, is 4% of your grade. So the second one you'll actually fill out as you go through the course, and use citations from our readings to support what your comments are and what you have learned based on what you've done in this course. So in your first baseline survey, you're just going to talk about your prior knowledge. You don't need to reference any readings. I don't want you to reference any readings. I just want you to talk from what you know. And you may not know anything, and that's fine. And then in your last one, you're going to talk about how you've grown in your knowledge of those questions that I've asked. So that's an overview of the course. I'll have many more videos talking about discussion boards and et cetera, et cetera. So that's a little overview that I'll place this in the syllabus link.